Fox's Murder in a Small Town Mystery Series season finale has big moments that set up the potential for Season 2. Season 1 laid a solid foundation for how Rossif Sutherland's Carl Alberg operates as the Gibsons' chief of police and how Kristen Krauk's local librarian, Cassandra Lee, informally assists with his investigations. Things heated up when she was abducted by a criminal from his past, causing Carl and Cassandra's breakup in Murder in a Small Town Episode 6, and time to reconcile was running thin with only 8 episodes in the series' first season. In the Murder in a Small Town Season 1 finale, the Gibsons police force continues investigating a serial killer. The town collectively panics with a criminal on the loose, with hushed conversations taking place around Gibsons. In Murder in a Small Town Episode 7, Carl seeks out local art teacher Tommy Cummins, Noah Reed, to paint a portrait of their victim, which jumpstarts the case. As the series came to a head with no news on Season 2, the finale simultaneously wrapped up the series with a lovely potential ending and paved the way for the procedural TV show's continuation. Carl circulates Mr. Cummins' portrait of their Jane Doe from Tommy Cummins. The local art teacher brings their victim to life. In the penultimate episode of Murder in a Small Town Season 1, Carl finds Cassandra and asks her if she knows a local artist who can bring their unidentified murder victim to life. Cassandra gives Carl the name of the local art teacher at the high school that Devon, Alicia Newton, and Carl's daughter Holly, Dakota Guppy, attend. Tommy agrees to the task, and Murder in a Small Town Episode 7 ends with Tommy beginning the portrait. In Murder in a Small Town Episode 8, Tommy Cummins paints a beautiful portrait, which the police force circulates on social media and the news. Sid is particularly captivated by the picture. The Gibsons police discovered in the previous episode from wounds on their victim that she previously used drugs but had quit. The case reminds Sid of his deceased sister, who died of drug use. Robert Cross identifies Sally Dublin and ties Cassandra Lee's friend to their Jane Doe. A friend from Los Angeles identifies their Jane Doe as Sally Dublin. As the Gibsons Police Department gets calls about their Jane Doe after they release her portrait, they finally get a promising lead on the case. Robert Cross, a talent agent from Los Angeles, calls the police force and reports that the woman in the photo is named Sally Dublin, and he is confident that it's her. Thus, the police department finally has a lead in their serial killer case. Robert reports that Sally called him recently, saying she was going to the Sunshine Coast. When asked if she would see any friends, Cross reveals that Sally mentioned seeing a friend named Roger Galbraith. Roger, a fellow actor, is a close friend of Cassandra, and their connection entangles her in yet another case with the police. The development puts her closer to her ex. Devon has a weird run-in with Cummins. Devon and Mr. Cummins have a weird dynamic. Crossing the boundary of their relationship as student and teacher, Devon has a weird run-in with Mr. Cummins. Their connection is revealed in Episode 7, as the town prepares for Tommy Cummins' art show, and Devon is determined to help. When Carl comes to visit Tommy about the portrait of their Jane Doe in Episode 7, Devon is in his office, and he remarks about how talented she is after she leaves. Sleep while I sing. Devon and Tommy hang out after Mr. Cummins' art show. Devon hugs her teacher, to which he responds awkwardly, and she apologizes. Mr. Cummins offers to drive Devon home, but then she is stranded and distressed on the side of the road. The following day, she is at the Alberg house and describes to Holly how things got weird after she flirted with her teacher. Roger steals Cassandra's car and is invited to the police station for questioning. Roger Galbraith is acting suspicious and erratic. As danger continues to surface, things get even weirder when Cassandra finds that her car has been stolen and returned worse for wear. Carl has Kendrick, Fritzicleven's Destin, posted in a squad car outside her house. She suggests the gesture is unnecessary, but that proves wrong when she discovers someone stole and used her car, and whoever it was damaged her bumper. Roger has been acting suspiciously, with Murder in a Small Town leaving the room to believe that Roger is the murderer. The connection is the most convincing when Roger calls Cassandra and asks her to lie to Carl and say she was with him the night of the murder. Roger becomes a suspect but clears his name when he voluntarily shows up at the police station for questioning, and his story checks out. Carl ties the murder to Cummins after he paints a portrait of Clyde, a Gibson's residence dog. A portrait of the deceased is Cummins' calling card. After the police station gets a tip that there was a green SUV on the side of the road the night Sally Dublin was killed, Carl returns to their first witness, Callum Hingle, Gardner Miller, to verify the report. Some Gibson's residents believe Callum is the murderer, but his wife, Mary, Lisa Huget, confidently assures Carl that her husband isn't responsible. When Carl comes inside, something else catches his eye. Carl spots a portrait of the couple's deceased dog, Clyde, who was found dead in the woods. Callum believes that his dog was murdered, and he and his wife are distressed, but tell Carl that a portrait by local artist Tommy Cummins brought their dog back to life and lifted their spirits. Upon seeing the picture, it clicks to Carl that a painting of his victims is Cummins' calling card and that he is their serial killer. Sid finds Roger and comforts his sister. Sid has a connection to Gail Galbraith. While Roger is no longer a prime suspect, he acts erratically. Sid and Yen, Maya Lo, search for Roger after finding proof that he stole Cassandra's car, and they locate him with a woman they don't recognize but was with him the night he stole Cassandra's car. The interaction reveals that Roger has been hanging out with his sister, and they are both acting erratically due to substance use disorder. Upon seeing the bigger picture, Sid requests to speak alone to Roger's sister, Gail, Paula Lindbergh. Yen takes Roger to another bench, and Sid tells Gail about how he lost his sister to addiction. Sid gives Gail his card, saying he is there for her if she needs help, but she must try to help herself. It's a tender moment between the police officer and someone who needs help, and Sid does the right thing by lending a hand rather than apprehending people who need help. Roger officially clears his name when Sid reveals they know Sally Dublin called him when she came into town. Roger admits that the call was too painful to talk about because he knows he should have answered and that his friend would still be alive. The moment proves that, despite his odd behavior, Roger is also a victim of the circumstances and has no malicious intention. Tommy Cummins shows Devon his art studio and reveals he's a serial killer. Mr. Cummings wants Devon to join him. After Holly Alberg tells Devon that her ex-boyfriend, Jesse, Quinton James, has punched Mr. Cummins, Devon rushes to find her teacher. She successfully finds him, and they are sitting in the teacher's car, driving to an